Bob Parsons, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Johnny.
Who is the original 0311?
Well, what 0311 means, it is the number comes from the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps gives every job a number. It's called a military occupational specialty code. And the number for riflemen or infantry, combat infantry with the Marine Corps, is 0311. And that's what I became after high school when I joined the Marine Corps, went through boot training. They made me an 0311, a rifleman, and that's what I did in the Vietnam War. We have used 0311 to signify the name for our irons. And I couldn't think of a better name. That's one where we show our respect for the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is where I grew up, became a man. You know, they raised me, they changed everything for me. And 0311 it is.
Who were you before you entered the military? Where are you from?
Well, I grew up in East Baltimore, a place called Highlandtown, which is a kind of a blue-collar neighborhood in the inner city of Baltimore. And it's there my parents were. They were both gamblers and they weren't very good at it. And don't get me wrong, I love them to pieces, wouldn't trade anybody for them ever. But because they were gamblers, they never had anything. We were always broke. And matter of fact, just the opposite, they were very much in debt. And so when I grew up, if I was going to have any spending money or doing anything, I had to figure a way to make it. And I got to be pretty good at it, so I owe them a lot for that. You know, one thing I could tell you, when I was a kid, I didn't do well in school. Failed the 5th grade, but due to a fluke, I didn't have to repeat it. So I went into the 6th grade with 4th grade skills. But my mother taught me, you know, fractions by showing me how to read the racing form. And, you know, it got to be where I understood that, and when I was in school, you know, there's a lot I didn't do well, but I nailed fractions. When I went into the Marine Corps, I enlisted in the Marine Corps, decided to go see a recruiter in gym one day.
Okay. And
gym had something that was very important to me. It was during my senior year in high school. It was the only class I was passing.
That's so funny.
So I was pretty good gym.
Yeah, you're a professional.
And,
yeah.
I had 2 buddies approach me and said, we're going to go talk to a Marine Corps recruiter. They asked me, they said, what are you going to be doing next year? I said, I'm probably going to still be here.
Okay.
So we go down and talk to the Marine Corps recruiter. This is in Baltimore. And we all wind up joining the Marine Corps together in a buddy plan. My buddy Charlie, my buddy Aggie, and me. And when this was in 1969, during the height of the Vietnam War, yeah. or 68, 69 was. And I mean, it was rocking and rolling over there. Now, me being 17 and a senior, you can be sure I knew there was a war, I didn't really understand it. So we all joined, my mother signed the papers, so I could go. And when I showed all my teachers my orders, they all passed me. Right, because it was, I mean, you know, it was a real war, Johnny.
Right.
So when I come out of the Marine Corps, I was a different guy. I worked at a steel mill for about 6 or 8 months or a year, and it was a tough job. And then I decided to go to college. I went to the University of Baltimore, and I studied accounting. Didn't even know what it was. The guy at the registrar's office told me to study it. I could do fractions, you know.
Okay.
And
okay.
And
it always comes back to the fractions. Okay.
And it turned out to be very fortuitous. I loved it. Plus, I was a different guy. I graduated magna cum laude, passed CPA exam the first time. Anything I ever accomplished since then, I owed to the Marine Corps. It turned me around completely.
Okay, so what is it about the military? So, you know, in a practical sense, you're talking to the young kids out there. What is it about the military that pivots a young man like you, that comes out, that gives you the tools to go face life?
Well, first of all, for me, it was I learned discipline. And not discipline in the form of punishment, although there's plenty of that. Mm-hmm. Discipline in the sense that if you have a job to do and it becomes difficult or you don't want to do it, you have the backbone to see it through.
Okay.
That's discipline. They taught me pride. They taught me to believe in myself. They taught me that I could do things. They taught me responsibility, that the guy on my left or right are both counting on me to do my job, particularly in a rifle company that's in combat. I mean, you got it. You're as strong as your weakest link.
Sure.
So, you know, they taught me all that, and they taught me pretty clean is dirty. Right?
Okay.
And
I've heard that before.
You know, some things are black and white. It's either clean or it's not.
Right.
Right? It's not pretty clean. So all those things together, I came out with a different perspective, a different focus, a different ethic, and that made all the difference for me.
Do you think that was the most important, I guess, shift in your life, was going with your buddies in gym class and walking and signing up for the military? Was that like the moment?
Well, 100%.
Okay.
And, you know, they're in the Marine that won't tell you this. I didn't sign up for the military. I signed up for the U.S. Marine Corps.
Okay.
A little different.
Pivoting, you know, back to today, the guys that are getting out, it's always a big conversation, and, you know, PTSD and guys coming out of service now from tours, you know. Did you experience a lot of that stuff? Like, did you have any PTSD when you came out of the military, or is that something you can relate to at all?
You know, I did.
Okay.
I did. It took me a while to realize that it was PTSD, and PTSD is the damnedest thing, at least as I experienced it, and a number of the guys I talked to, it seems to be about the same. First of all, you feel very different than everybody else. You feel like you don't belong.
Okay.
All right, that's number one. Number two, you feel like you should be able to handle it, and what caused it is insignificant. Okay, that's dead wrong. And you feel like you'll get by it on your own, and maybe you can, but your life will be much harder for it.
Okay.
I had it where I would just start crying sometimes in a movie, or I'd be at a golf club and somebody would ask me about it. I mean, I just go into tears. And, you know, you do that often enough, people want to quit talking to you. But anyhow, I got past it using this thing called brain state technology, which is a newer feedback thing, which gives your brain, without going into details, a way to fix itself, and it works, Johnny. I mean, it works. And so when I did it, it's only been a few years ago, it was 47 years for me since the war, and I finally came home.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who sort of guided you? Like, did you have a father figure or somebody that you sort of relied on?
That answer would be no.
Okay.
I mean, my father did help me, but you know, what I was doing was very different from, you know, what he had done. He was a furniture salesman, and he was very, very good at it. Boy, I mean, he could sell a lazy boy to anybody.
Okay.
I mean, he could move some furniture. But beyond that, man, I sorted it out for myself. Now, some of the stuff as I went through college, some of the historical figures, you know, I had a lot of respect for, and you know, I emulated them as best I could. One is John D. Rockefeller, and one of the things that he did that really stuck with me, and I use it in all my businesses, is he kept track of everything. He knew exactly how much everything cost him. And when you're in that type of situation and you understand your marketing and you go up against somebody who really doesn't understand their costs, you got them.
How does those teachings from a guy like that, like, you know, how are you applying that to just PXG, for example? Like, what's the lead in there for that?
Well, the lead in for PXG is first of all, coming up with a mission statement. And what we're going to do. Our goal was to make golf clubs that have never been made before,
okay,
at a quality that surprises everybody. And so that's what we did, and we stuck to that. It was also to control our own distribution. We've done that. You won't find us in the big stores, but you will find us through our mobile fitters at your clubs and through select fitters, and also now through our website. And also building a brand that really means something. One of the brands I really like and respect is Ferrari. And the reason I do is because they're concerned with two things. Italians across the border are concerned with two things when it comes to vehicles: looks, but most of all, the performance. And so what we did is in PXG, we said that we were going to work to have the absolute best performing clubs there were. So performance was our constraint, our operating constraint that we had to meet in order to bring our clubs to market. It wasn't cost, it wasn't time, it was we can do anything we need to, and like Ferrari, once we get there, and we're always going to get there, we'll put a price on it.
Luck and perspective is very representative of kind of who you are. So walk me through what that means to you, what that phrase means to you.
Well, what it is perspective is you got to think right. You know, you have to get up every day and have the right attitude. You have to be prepared to do a good job. You have to work really hard. You know, this thing where I don't work hard, I work smart, it's bullshit.
Right.
All right. You know, as a matter of fact, the people that are working smart usually work for somebody that works hard. The luck part is all business is, you know, because of you know how random it is, at least initially, and unpredictable it is, because it's really, well, there's a lot of business books, there's no real book that shows you what to do. So you really need to hang in there, and you have to do it till you get the right break. That's where luck comes in.
Okay.
And if somebody tells you luck has nothing to do with it, they really don't understand why they're successful, if they are successful.
Tell me about Hill 190, that moment in your life that sort of got us sort of to here, like something inspired you one night.
Well, Hill 190 was a place where it was located in Quang Nam province in Vietnam. I mean, it was rice paddies there as far as you could see, and little villages that were the farming villages that cultivated the rice paddies, harvested them, and so forth. And the North Vietnamese would send their troops into rice paddies to these villages to take the rice from them and take it to feed their troops.
Okay.
And our job was we would be on ambush every night, sometimes day patrols, but our job was to keep them from taking it.
Okay.
And that's what we did. So when I got to Hill 190, in my squad, there's usually 12 guys in a Marine Corps rifle squad. Our squad was ambushed, when I say our squad, my squad, was ambushed a few days earlier, and they had 5 casualties, 4 of them were fatals. To a man, it was a single, they were all the senior guys. Mm-hmm. And the guy who was the senior guy, who was a dear friend of mine, was made the squad leader, and that was, his name is Barry George. He was a corporal back then, and they made him the squad leader. And I had this thoughts then. I thought, well, he's only been here a few months. He's the senior guy. And by the way, he turned out to be marvelous. He was a guy, if you wanted somebody to do that, he was the man.
Okay.
But I went and sat on this wall before we did our night's ambush when I found out the situation. And I remember looking out over the valley, and it was beautiful. And I was thinking, wow, how am I going to survive 13 months here? 13 months, you know, the guy's been here the longest, only been here a few months. And I don't know anything. I don't know that these guys know much more. I just couldn't get my head around it. And I had what I believe was the only anxiety attack I've ever had in my life. I started, you know, it was difficult to breathe. I was clammy. I was certainly frightened. And the thing that turned it around is I just looked out into the valley, and I had this thought, I'm going to die here. And the moment that sunk in and I accepted it, I was fine. Mm-hmm. And I made myself 2 promises then. The first promise was that I would do everything I could to do my job as a U.S. Marine. The second thing was, if I had anything I could do, whatever I could do, I'd try to be alive for mail call in the morning. we went out on ambush that first night. I'd been with them 4 hours, and one of my fellow Marines, a man named Ermal Hunt, was hit, and he lost his arm, his leg, his eye, and I mean, and that's the way it went.
Right.
So, but I did every job I was asked to do, and that day at a time thing, that has gotten me through so much. And I've learned, and this goes right back to perspective, if you got the right perspective and you look at things right, you can deal with anything, but you got to put it in perspective.
For this interview and for everybody to hear, like, you take a young man, take somebody that's 30, 35, that kind of has nothing, has a lot of dreams. Like, what do you, if you had somebody sitting in front of you, what are you telling them about how to go forward?
Well, the first couple things. One thing my father always told me, he said, it is really important to do something you like to do. Mm-hmm. He said, number one, most important thing. And he always used to say this. He used to say, when you love something, it tells you all its secrets. When you love something, let's say, for example, when I started writing I taught myself how to program a computer and wrote all our first computer programs that my business, Parsons Technology, that enabled that company to succeed. And I did it because I didn't do it to make money. I've never opened a business because I wanted to make money doing it. I did it because I wanted to do it right.
Okay.
And when you work with something you love and you work at it harder and you learn nuances that somebody that's doing it for a job, they never learn. And that's where the secrets come in. Mm-hmm. When you love something, it tells you all its secrets. That's why if you deal with somebody that really likes what they're doing, their particular job, and they've been at it a while, they will know things that will surprise you. But it's all things that are earned the hard way.
Sure.
Through trial and error or just working a little harder, looking a little further, reading a little more, all those things. Some of the things that make PXG work are things that only I know and my engineers know. Mm-hmm. I mean, Johnny, you don't tell your secrets.
No, that's why they're secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those things that we've learned over the years, and I mean, and I will tell you, I didn't know any of it the first day we started.
Okay.
I learned it all along the way.
What's the biggest misperception about you? Not PXG, but the Bob Parsons thing.
Well, first is I'll have a lot of people say that I'm intimidating, mm-hmm. right? And when they do say that, I'm floored because I don't see myself as intimidating at all, because I am the last guy that is mean or condescending to anybody. I mean, I'm just the opposite,
right.
And they go, well, he's got all this success and so forth. Well, what they don't realize is I'm not happy at a black tie fundraiser. I just as soon be bullshitting with the mailman. Mm-hmm. But when the cameras aren't on, and hopefully when the cameras are on too, I'm a blue collar guy. Mm-hmm. I will always be a blue collar guy, and I am a lower middle class blue collar guy.
Right.
And that's who I am. So I have fun knocking around the golf course with my buddies. I like kicking back with my wife and doing whatever it is she's up to at the time, and playing with the dogs, all that kind of stuff. I'm just a regular guy.
So I want to sort of get into a little bit about your influences as far as you're a pretty voracious reader. There's a lot of books that you read, mm-hmm. and what do you like to read, and what's feeding your brain?
I enjoy nonfiction. Every once in a while I'll read fiction, but it's very rare. I like to know stuff that really happened as opposed to a story somebody made up. Right? I'm like, I want to read this thing he made up, and I don't know what good that's going to do me. But like, for example, right now I'm reading a book by Nathaniel Philbrick that was pretty good. It was called The Mayflower, and really, really interesting. It deals with the Pilgrims, how they came to the country, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book. The detail is incredible.
Where do you lie in, just in spirituality and stuff like that? Like, how do you see the world, through those eyes? I believe there's an order to the universe. Mm-hmm. I believe that we're all very imperfect, and
we need to cut each other some slack and help each other out.
Sure.
And, you know, when somebody falls down, there's nothing like a hand reaching back, pulling you up.
So talk to me a little bit about philanthropy and about reaching out that hand and helping somebody else. You guys do it, you know, as much as you do the PXG stuff.
Oh, 100%. Matter of fact, you know, we have 16 businesses, and one of them is our foundation. And it takes an effort to make sure you do it right. You know, giving money away is pretty easy,
right,
as you can imagine, but putting it where it's going to make a difference, there you go. Some of the organizations we support, first and foremost, is the military, the Semper Fi Fund for injured Marines, and also embraces injured service men and women from the other armed forces. So my wife and I, we give the Semper Fi Fund $10 million a year. And, you know, hopefully that kind of helps them a bit and helps the people that they serve. We also serve organizations that are making a difference, but because their cause is not popular or has been unfairly politicized, okay, right, they're unable to raise money. And the organizations are things like for the LGBTQ population. One of the things we learned is that quite often when a young man or woman comes out as gay, they're thrown out of the house. Mm-hmm. And when they're thrown out of the house and the family turns their back on them, then they're subject to predators, drugs, suicide, on and on. So this group, it's called 1 in 10, reaches out to them. And I can tell you they have a really difficult time raising money, but not from us. So these types of organizations, that's where you'll find us. Another deals with undocumented citizens or illegals, depending upon how you think. We're not too concerned with how they got there, but this is America. Mm-hmm. And if there's a kid that's sick, they need
help.
Yeah. So we help them. These people, once they're here, if they get a job, there is a whole economy that just preys on these people. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, that will sell them things that are many, many times what you and I would pay for it, puts them in terrible living conditions. So when they get a job, they make less than minimum wage. I mean, you make nothing.
Right.
Question is, who takes care of the kids? We do.
Okay.
All right, and it's called Crisis Center Nurseries. And what they do is when the kid comes in, you know, they get a breakfast and lunch, and, you know, they get taught, you know, in a fun way, English and Spanish, and, you know, maybe a little, you know, just have fun. Mm-hmm. And then when their parents pick them up, they know they're safe, and the person is better.
Yeah.
And, you know, our job is to make them Americans, because that's what they want to be.
Yeah.
All right. So those types of organizations, and right now we're moving to charity about $1 million every 15 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're picking these charities. They're all passion projects. What you just described, it's not a portfolio. It's you guys have specific emotional reasons for choosing each.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah. You know, some of the things, with the exception of the military, an organization we support in Haiti that's building schools and medical clinics. All our funds are focused in the Valley of the Sun here in Arizona.
So, you know, we talked to Kevin Hudson, and you know, the program that you guys have, PXG for Heroes, and you have the I believe the Hero Squad. That you're doing a program that I think is unbelievable. That's not really charity work. That's a different animal, the way it's described. So
no, you know, it's not charity at all. What it is, it's respect. It's respect, and it is providing a vehicle for those, regardless of their income level, who, because they served, and we also recognize first responders, yep, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, all the people that put their life on the line or could have done that or chose to serve the country. To me, they're my brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. So you always take care of family, Johnny.
Do you have any designs on slowing down? Like, is there ever a point where you're just like, I got too much happening here?
You know, I think I'm going to do that after I'm cremated.
It's an honor. Every single time I get to talk to you, this is a fun one for me because we're not talking about golf clubs today. We're talking about you. I'm more inspired today, Bob, than I was the last time I talked to you. And I think it's important that people understand who Bob is before they even buy a golf club from you.
There you go.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you so much for what you do. It's
You're
been a
welcome,
pleasure.
brother.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure, Johnny.
Of course, yeah, I appreciate it.